you ever think about what we did?
I killed my husband. We were all involved in this.
We covered up a murder.
The world's better off without her. Even the Pope would say that.
Oh God, I feel like kill off is so
Terrible,
harsh.
yeah.
I think because she's so damaged by what happened to her in season 1, and so full of guilt and shame, and she's entered into this new relationship and is so open and just wants to put the past behind and be loved, but ultimately she chose badly. She's kind of targeted, and to me that was all fallout from the first abusive relationship, and it felt like brutal, but like an honest sort of depiction of what happens when you've gone through something like that. And in a way, as much as I loved the end of the first season, it was a fairy tale kind of end, jumping into the sea and everything's going to be okay, and unfortunately quite often it's not. So and it gives the sisters something to they've got to find out what happened to her, and for the audience it's finding out what really happened that night. We hold back so much, and we retain secrets, and it's as tricky a decision as it was the right thing for the story.
There's a lot of trust, so we get to be very creative on set. Sharon writes brilliant scripts. We have an amazing crew, and we know what we want to do. And then it's a very infectious energy and atmosphere on set that it, like in the same way that there's a series of consequences of bad things that happen, and because of the story there's a series of consequences of great things that happen within a scene of people go, oh, let's do one more, and we'll do, and so it grows and grows.
Well, we've had the, meanwhile in Bad Sisters break, haven't we, between the 2 seasons, where I've been the grieving widow. And through the church, I have become very close to Angelica. She's become my pillar, the place where I lay my head while I'm grieving. But then, of course, I meet my new love, and I have no need of Angelica anymore, which is pretty tough, really. But we do have a kind of odd codependent relationship, which then, Grace tries to walk away from, to her peril, really, but yeah.
There was one day when we took lots of photographs of Grace and Angelica cooking things together and making things for the Camogie Club. And I think that was the friendship. In fact, they don't use it very much. There's a board of photographs of our happy Christmases, and that really was the story of our friendship. And you're right, then it ended. So I love doing it. It's very different to anything I've played, partially because it was a roller coaster, because they were so, not set, but they know who they were. And I was coming in on a kind of a surfboard that was having to adapt to whatever was necessary to annoy them. And that was quite scary, but pleasurable, because I knew I was in great hands.
Well, I knew about it before I received the scripts. There'd been a conversation around it. So I kind of love it. I love when things like that happened. Do you remember, what's the Catherine Bigelow movie where Guy Pearce gets killed off like within the first 5 minutes, and you're like, oh my God! And I love it because it means a story can go any which way. You suddenly have this vista which you thought was filled with certain things, and it's just been completely cleared. And so, for a writer as clever as Sharon, it meant her imagination could just run riot.
There was a scene, that's just I've just remembered now, there was a scene when she hears that Grace has been killed and she's on a bicycle. I'm not sure if it's in the series or not, but we shot it. And she panics, and of course she cannot bear that she wasn't included in the news or as a primary mourner. So she goes to the funeral very much thinking she's the primary mourner. And she's so not. The sisters put her back in the church, and I think that was agony. Because again, this gap between her expectation of being one thing and actually being another is both comic but also tragic for her.
Well, my final scenes, of course, were in the car. So I was on my own.
Your sister.
Yeah, and I found it very overwhelming, actually, you know, because I had to play this extraordinary emotional state where I was very fraught, but also try and adhere to all the technical stuff of doing a stunt. Oh, it was very hard work, and it was nighttime, and I knew, you know, there's a camera rigged to the side of the car, and there are all these people, and there are the stunt drivers ahead of you, and you feel so much responsibility that you can't get it wrong. And at the same time, Dervla was coming to me saying, "Don't forget the story and where she's at," and so I was so flooded with things to do that then it wasn't until I got back to my bed after the night shoot that I kind of felt it, really. It was very interesting. It's always sad when you say goodbye to characters, but abruptly is very interesting, you know?
Stress. High level stress my character brings. I mean, Ursa's initially just trying to get through the day, but she's struggling, she's sort of managing this new life. She's split up from Donal. She's living back in the family house with Eva, but she's self-medicating. She's sort of trying to put on this front that she's coping, but actually she's struggling with everything that's happened from season 1. But it's 2 years on, but I think her way of coping is just by self-medicating, but she's stealing from the hospital in order to keep her habit going. It's sort of only a matter of time when the case gets dragged out of the water and the girls realise that actually the spotlight is back on them and the police come knocking, that it's all just getting too much for her again. So she's on edge. Yeah.
I think Bibi this time around brings, she has a real eye for detail and subtlety, I think. She sees things that the others don't see. She picks up on things that the others don't pick up on. She's always watching. So yeah, I think she comes to conclusions quicker than the girls. I think she's also super protective of them and is very frustrated when she doesn't have the full truth because she feels like she's not as in control and not equipped to protect them as best she can.
A lot of urine and vomit. Some good old swimming in the sea, and some, lots of urine, lots of urine. Weeing, I do wee, and then I have a cute little love triangle. I don't know. She's less hectic than last time, and what I like about Becca this season is she's much more in cahoots with her sisters, which is nice.
Yeah, she was kind of on the outside
she
a little
was
bit.
Babied more. And this time she's definitely like in the gang and she's like a little bit more mature, and crap out everything, but like, still kind of like she's more eager. Yeah, exactly.